Okay, so 1980, that is when Kubrick decided to make, or he released his version of The Shining. And the reason I say version of The Shining is because it has nothing to do with Stephen King's novel in the first place. Literally, he went into a room, he was looking through a pile of books, trying to find a new idea for his film, and he came across Stephen King's The Shining. Guess what? He did like the concept of the book, and that was it, just the concept. He literally tore pages out of the book and made his own version of The Shining. And that is the difficulty about the sequel, because he derived so much from the original, material, that when you do a sequel or something to follow that up, it just gets so conflicting. So yeah, guys, welcome to Higher Volume. I'm Josh, and today I'm reviewing Dr. Sleep. Okay, so Dr. Sleep, was it good? Was it bad? Was it what I expected? And I gotta say, guys, I am rather conflicted. I really think that Dr. Sleep is a bad sequel. Now, hold on. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not necessarily a bad movie. I just think it's a bad sequel. It is a really good movie. I enjoyed it. I was highly entertained by this film. This is a decades later sequel to Kubrick's Shining. And that's the reason why I say it's such a bad sequel, because it just doesn't follow with the first film. Kubrick did something so different from the book that it's hard to follow that up. And I understand that Dr. Sleep is mostly adapting, what's in the book. It's everything that's really in the book. And the two just don't combine. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this movie, Flanagan directed this movie, and it has great cinematography, great wide lens shots, and all that kind of stuff. The colorizing, the transitions, everything in this film was great to look at. I love the grayish blue tint that was in the film. It makes it very eerie. And the casting choices were great. Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, everybody in this film, especially the little girl, the scene stealer in this movie. I forgot her name, but she plays Abra in the film, and she's such a scene stealer. Mostly when you see kids in films, you're like, yeah, he's doing the best he can. That little boy, that little girl's doing the best he can. Let's get on to the adults. But this time around, you're like, whoa, she's actually acting really good, especially in a horror flick, especially a movie with so much substance. That's what it is. It has substance and it has style. And I absolutely enjoyed it. But the bad thing about it was that it just didn't feel like a sequel to me. It really didn't. It felt like a whole new thing. You can have Kubrick's The Shining here, and you can have, Flanagan's Dr. Sleep here. And it's literally two different movies, like two different universes. And there are callbacks to the first film, and they're used with a sort of disrespectful kind of way, and I'll get into that in just a bit, but it feels like two different movies. Now, with that being said, do you need to see Kubrick's The Shining? Of course you do. It's a masterpiece. It's a classic. I really think that you should go out and see Kubrick's The Shining. It's on 4K right now. It just got released, and on Blu-ray and on DVD and on VHS if you can get that. But other than that, it's really good. It's really great of a film. Dr. Sleep, I enjoyed it, but the negatives is that it doesn't go with the first film so much, and there are things in there that really made me get out of the film. It took my vibe out, which is the flashback scenes. There's moments in this film that show off scenes from the first film. It's like recreations, They're the same scenes from the first movie, from The Shining, just recreated with new actors, and that totally took me out of the groove for the movie, man. It completely did, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's not Shelley Duvall, that's not Jack Nicholson, And that really bothered me. Guys, this movie was so lazy when it comes to that, because they could have had the money, they could have had the budget, the time. This was Warner Brothers, for Christ's sakes. They could have done so much into getting that de-aging effect, into getting, you know, the replacement. You know, try getting Jack Nicholson's face from the old movies, try getting Shelley Duvall's face from the old movies, and putting on these new actors, just like they did with, you know, Andy Serkis in a few other films. But they didn't do that. They just casted new actors to fill in the old roles again in the same scenes, and I thought that was pretty useless. I think that is the most, like, the worst part about that film. And another thing is, there are 2 prologues. You don't need 2 prologues. Literally, the first 10 minutes of the film didn't need to be there at all. I know it's all like set up and it's giving you a background of Danny Torrance, but really it didn't need to be there at all. And it would have been so much better if we would have gone on through this movie, and then halfway through, we would have been like, oh shoot, that is actually Danny Torrance. That would have been a great surprise. But instead, it tells you off the bat, and it kind of like knees it in. And with the first act is so long. I was sitting there and I was like, it hasn't ended yet. It ends around, the first act ends around maybe the 30-minute mark or 35-minute mark. And I was like, okay. And then another thing is the third act. That's the last bad thing, is the third act, you know, it just feels so ham-fisted. Ow. It feels so ham-fisted because it's like you really didn't have to do those references so on the nose. And I think that's the trouble with this film, is that it was so on the nose. But other than that, it is very entertaining. There are some very creepy parts in this film, especially with children. It's very graphic. So, guys, I enjoyed it. I thought it could have been better, though. So, yeah, I'm giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I don't mind seeing it again, but I just think it's a bad sequel. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Please support the channel and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. That was cheesy. Just you know what to do. Bye, guys.